Tashet's Secrets of the Ancients, Part 1. A modern interpretation of ancient Chinese wisdom for power, wealth, and influence. Welcome to Secrets of the Ancients, a series that explores the timeless strategies of power, business, and human nature drawn from thousands of years of Chinese philosophy. This isn't just about history, it's about mastering the invisible rules that still shape our world today. Let's begin. In modern society, the most important survival skill is understanding human nature. If you understand people, you can succeed in almost anything. There are two types of money that are the easiest to earn. One, money made by exploiting human weaknesses. Two, money made by leveraging human strengths. If you truly understand people, you will understand money. Here's an uncomfortable truth. The darkest parts of human behavior are often the greatest source of profit. It may not be easy to accept, but listen to the end, and you'll understand what ancient minds knew all along. Opportunities to build wealth haven't disappeared. They've simply become more selective, reserved for those with sharper awareness. Remember the film *7 from 1995? It listed the 7 deadly sins: pride, envy, wrath, sloth, greed, lust, and gluttony. Religions teach us to avoid these traits, but business thrives on them. It doesn't just use them, it amplifies them. Dating apps profit from lust. Finance companies profit from greed. The food and alcohol industries profit from gluttony. E-commerce profits from sloth. Social media exploits pride. Gaming thrives on envy and rage, giving users a place to release what they can't in real life. Every successful business is built on understanding and weaponizing human flaws. Not resisting desire, but turning desire into dollars. If you like attractive women, your phone will flood with them. If you enjoy music, you'll see endless singing competitions. If you crave wealth, motivational speeches and luxury ads will find you. Your attention becomes the currency. What you think you're choosing has already been chosen for you. Eventually, your entire feed, your time, your habits, they're all filled with things you crave, but rarely with what you need. If you seek decay, they'll lead you there. If you seek growth, they'll offer that too. But the result is the same. The strong get stronger, the weak get weaker. Every day, you're living inside someone else's design. The world you see is filtered, and those who control the filter understand you better than you understand yourself. They don't just play the game. They wrote the rules. So ask yourself, are you the player or are you being played? Secrets of the Ancients, Part 2. Human nature is the game. Your role is up to you. An average person sees someone relaxing at a coffee shop and thinks, how can I become that kind of person? Calm, rich, and free. But a strategist sees the same thing and thinks, how do I become the one who owns the coffee shop? What kind of people do you study? That will determine your future. Let's speak plainly. The world works like a casino, and in this casino, there are only 3 roles. 1, the one who sets the rules, the house. 2, the one who runs the table, the dealer. 3, the one who places the bets, the gambler. Here's the hard truth. 99% of people are gamblers. They bring their time, their energy, their dreams to the table, and they leave with less than they came. The remaining 1% is split between those who run the system and those who own it. And among that 1%, a tiny fraction are true architects of the game. The rest are still just middlemen. Let's break it down even further. There are 3 types of business strategy in the real world. Type 1, betting your own money. This is what most entrepreneurs do. They see an opportunity, gather savings, borrow from family, take out loans. They pour their own resources into a risky venture. If they fail, they lose everything. This is called debt-based entrepreneurship. It's stressful, unforgiving, and where most people get crushed. Type 2, betting other people's money. This is what the smart ones do. They create a pitch deck. They sell a vision. They raise capital. They give up some equity in exchange for growth and cash flow. Even if the company fails, they still collect a salary, still walk away clean. This is called equity-based entrepreneurship. Type 3, taking a cut from everyone at the table. This is the highest level. You create the platform, the system others rely on. You don't gamble, you don't bet, you just take a percentage of every bet placed. Think of the stock market, Amazon, YouTube, Shopify. They don't fight for a slice, they own the table. This is called asset-based leverage, and it's how real wealth is built. Starting a business isn't about selling a product. It's about choosing what role you want to play in the game. Are you building a business to serve customers? Or are you building a system that earns from those building businesses? Do you want to sell coffee or sell coffee shops? This is the difference between making a living and building an empire. Our Secrets of the Ancients, Part 3. How to make the game work for you, not against you. Like you're really good at making rice noodles. Your instinct tells you, I'll open a noodle shop and get rich. But stop for a second and ask yourself, are you trying to make money by selling noodles or by selling noodle shops? Let's do the math. You sell one bowl of noodles for $5. Your profit per bowl is $1. To make $1 million, you'd need to sell 1 million bowls. That's not just difficult, it's almost impossible for a small shop owner. But what if you don't sell noodles at all? What if instead you package your noodle recipe, your kitchen layout, your brand, and sell the entire system? Charge $10,000 for a franchise license. Train others to run the shop. Sell them the ingredients, the equipment, the signage, even the uniforms. Now 100 franchises is $1 million, and you didn't cook a single bowl. That's how McDonald's and Subway got rich. Not by selling food, but by selling business systems. Let's bring this back to the real world. Starbucks doesn't just sell coffee. They sell a culture, a feeling, a global experience that makes people line up for overpriced lattes. Airbnb doesn't own any real estate. Uber doesn't own cars. Amazon doesn't manufacture products. They built platforms that allow others to sell, drive, host, deliver. They own the table. Everyone else is just placing bets. Think about your own life. You pay rent, you pay for utilities, you pay employees, you work overtime, and at the end of the year, you make just enough to survive. Meanwhile, the platforms you use every day are making billions while owning none of what you own. Why? Because they designed the game. And that's the secret. Don't play harder, design better. You don't need to be the chef. Be the one who sells the kitchen. Be the one who writes the cookbook. Be the one who licenses the brand. The biggest mistake people make is chasing customers. The real power comes when customers chase you. The best companies don't beg. They attract. They don't convince you. They make you want it. This is the shift you must make from being the player at the table to being the house that runs it. Secrets of the Ancients. Stop chasing customers. Make them chase you. Every entrepreneur dreams of one thing, for customers to come running with money in hand. But in reality, most people do the opposite. They chase, they beg, they discount, and the harder they chase, the faster the customer runs away. Eventually, the business owner gets exhausted, out of breath, frustrated, and they say, man, business is just too hard. But here's what they don't realize. Nobody wants to be persuaded. People don't want to be sold. They want to be drawn in. That's the secret. Don't push, pull. Think of it like this. A supermodel in a bikini waving at you from across the beach. That's marketing that pulls. It's magnetic, irresistible, and the best businesses in the world do exactly that. They build an aura so compelling that people line up without being asked. Let's take Apple, for example. When you bought your first iPhone, did a sales rep come up to you, beg you, and pitch you? No. You went to them. You stood in line. You paid a premium. You chased them. Why? Because Apple didn't just sell a phone. They sold an identity, a lifestyle, a vision of elegance, innovation, and simplicity. They didn't bombard you with logic. They built a world you wanted to enter. Here's the formula Apple and other brilliant companies follow. 1. Create an idol, a brand, a person, or a story that people admire. 2. Paint a heaven, an idealized version of life your product helps people reach. 3. Build a bridge, a clear and tempting path that shows people how to get there. The idol creates aspiration. The heaven stirs desire. The bridge converts it into action. Once you understand this, you'll stop asking, how do I get customers? And start asking, how do I become the thing they can't ignore? The answer isn't in your product. It's in your positioning. It's not about being better. It's about being desired. Secrets of the Ancients, Part 5. The crowd doesn't need logic. It needs direction. Let me tell you a strange but true story. In 2013, in a city in China, A man was walking across a bridge when, out of nowhere, a woman jumped on him, knocked him to the ground, and forced herself on him. Yes, sexually assaulted him. Afterward, the man went straight to the police to report it. The story spread like wildfire. In the following days, crowds of men, first in the dozens, then in the hundreds, and eventually over 1,000, gathered at that same bridge, raising signs and yelling, "Come back, sister!" They didn't care if it was real or not. They didn't need logic. They just saw a story, a legend, a mythical promise of pleasure and possibility. It became a local phenomenon. Vendors started showing up to sell food. The scene became a bizarre tourist attraction. Eventually, the police had to clear the area by force. Now, here's the real lesson. Did all these men really think they were going to meet that same woman? No. Did they even know why they were there? No. They were just following the crowd, because that's how most people operate. In marketing, this is called social proof. When people see others doing something, they assume there's value, and they follow without needing a reason. Most customers aren't logical. They don't buy because they made a rational decision. They buy because they saw everyone else buying. They buy because the line is long. They buy because the store is full. They buy because something feels popular. Let's analyze what actually created this absurd situation on the bridge. 1. There was a hero figure, the man who experienced the wild story. 2. There was a heavenly reward, a dream of sexual fulfillment, totally unexpected. 3. There was a bridge, a real physical place people could go to chase that dream. That's all it took. No advertising, no sales pitch, just a powerful emotional story plus a clear path. And people came running. Here's the key takeaway for your business. People don't follow facts. They follow emotion. If you create a legend, if you point to a dream, and if you give them a bridge to cross, they'll follow you willingly, without question. Business isn't about pushing harder. It's about orchestrating desire. Hat's Secrets of the Ancients, Part 6. The 4 most profitable types of money in human history. If you understand the mechanics of money, you'll stop chasing it and start designing ways for it to chase you. Let's break it down. There are 4 types of money that are consistently the most profitable throughout history. Taka 1, information asymmetry. This is when you know something others don't. For centuries, merchants made fortunes just by understanding where to buy low and sell high. Why was this possible? Because information didn't travel fast. People didn't know what things were worth in other places. Even today, most middlemen businesses, real estate agents, wholesalers, import-export brokers, still rely on this model. But here's the problem. The more transparent the world becomes, the less valuable this gap becomes. The age of profiting off information asymmetry is fading fast. 2, perception asymmetry. This is the future. Not, I know something you don't, but I understand something you can't. It's not about facts. It's about perspective. People with high-level thinking will always profit off those with low-level thinking. Because in business, money doesn't flow from poor to rich. It flows from confused to clear. This is why personal branding, positioning, and storytelling matter more than ever. It's not about being the best. It's about being the one who frames the meaning. That's why one person can charge $50 for the same service, another charges $5,000 for. It's all in how they're perceived. 3, execution gap. This one's simple. I know, and you know, but you don't do it. I do. The majority of people don't execute. They learn, they plan, they talk, but they don't act. Those who actually take action consistently will always win over those who hesitate. Knowledge is common, execution is rare, and money flows to the rare. 4, competitive advantage. Sometimes you and your competitors know the same thing and you both take action, but you do it better. You execute faster, more efficiently, with more quality, with more insight. In this case, your edge is superiority of system. You're not just acting, you're acting with leverage. Better tools, better team, better timing. That's how empires are built, not just with action, but with optimized, relentless action. Understand these 4 and you'll stop chasing trends. You'll start building systems that let money flow to you just by knowing more, seeing deeper, acting faster, and doing better. Secrets of the Ancients, Part 7. How to influence people by following their nature, not fighting it. If you want to control someone's decisions, you don't need to overpower them. You just need to align with their desires. The second secret to controlling human behavior is this: follow their nature, and you'll win their heart. People are driven by two main forces: desire and fear. If you want people to join your mission, you must know what they want and what they avoid. Great entrepreneurs, leaders, and persuaders don't just sell a product. They sell a promise that speaks to someone's deepest desire. You don't need to manipulate, deceive, or pressure. Just observe. Find out what they like, what they hate, what excites them. Then position your idea as the fulfillment of their existing desire. Here's the hard truth: the most talented people will never work for you unless you give them something they want more than money. That may be recognition, that may be purpose, that may be ownership, that may be influence, but it's always something personal. If you want powerful people to work hard for you, don't try to convince them. Create a game where they win. Design a system where their ego, ambition, or dreams are rewarded. If you do that, they'll go to war for you. Business is a game of trading small rewards for big returns. You give others a taste of wealth, recognition, or growth, and in return, they give you their energy, time, and loyalty. This is why understanding human desire is the true foundation of leadership. It's not about barking orders. It's about pulling the right strings with full understanding of what each string is connected to. And once you master this, you'll be able to lead not by force, but by design. Secrets of the Ancients, Part 8. The 3 layers of strategic control: internal, external, and psychological. Mastering people is not just about charm or communication. It's about designing systems of influence from the inside out. Let's break it into 3 layers. 1. Internal control. Your team and inner circle. Your internal team is your foundation. And in high-stakes business, they must be rewarded more aggressively than in other industries. Talented people eat the meat. Mediocre people drink the soup. Fools chew the bones. If you don't feed the wolves around you, they'll either turn on you or leave. So overpay the right ones. Make them feel essential, and constantly remind them that their success is tied to yours. Because loyalty doesn't come from speeches, it comes from aligned incentives. 2. Back-end control, your infrastructure and logistics. Your back-end, the operations nobody sees, needs to be lean, ruthless, and efficient. Imagine you're running a battlefield with 5 soldiers. You need each of them to do the work of 7, but you only pay them like 6. That's the equation. If your back-end is bloated, your business will sink. If it's tight, precise, and cold-blooded, you can outlast competitors who are burning cash trying to look impressive. 3. External control, the face you show the world. Here's where it gets subtle. Externally, you must always make people feel like they're getting a deal. A win. A little extra. Human nature is driven by greed. People love feeling like they got something others didn't. That's why discounts work. That's why limited offers trigger action. That's why people line up for deals they don't even need. Make your audience feel smart for buying. Make them feel like insiders, and they'll come back again and again. Companies like Shein, Temu, and TikTok Shop understand this deeply. They use clever pricing and perceived value to hook people. The front end acquires users by giving, but the back end prints money later. Don't try to get rich from the first click. Front load value. Then collect on the back end, quietly, systematically, endlessly. In short, internally, you reward those who drive your machine. In the back end, you stay cold and efficient. On the outside, you charm, give, and seduce. This is how the best companies, leaders, and empires are built. Not with brute force, but with strategic layers of control. Secrets of the Ancients, Part 9. Control the narrative. Shape the behavior. Every human being is born an actor. We all wear masks. We all play roles. But here's the twist. The more applause we get, the harder we perform. And when the applause stops, we stop caring. This brings us to one of the most powerful manipulation techniques in human psychology: labeling. People don't change because you tell them to. They change because they want to stay consistent with how they see themselves. That's why if you want someone to behave a certain way, you don't push them. You label them. Tell your employee they're a team player, and they'll try to live up to it. Tell your child they're curious, and they'll explore more. Tell your partner they're a natural leader and they'll start leading. Want your wife to cook more often? Don't ask. Don't beg. Just say, "You're such an amazing chef." Post pictures of her food. Praise her to friends and family. Call her the executive chef of your home. The more you reinforce the identity, the more she'll live up to it. Want your employees to be more service-oriented? Create awards. Post pictures. Label them Service Star, Client Whisperer, 5-Star Hero. Recognition is addictive. People will work overtime for a gold star if you make the star shine bright enough. Even generosity can be manufactured. Call a stingy person generous in public and they'll try to prove you right. Say it often enough and the label becomes reality. This is the ancient art of behavior through identity. You don't push change from the outside, you plant it from the inside by giving people a role they want to protect. Because once someone accepts a label, they will act in ways that protect it, even if they don't fully believe it yet. This is how leaders lead, not with rules, but with roles. Secrets of the Ancients, Part 10. Control the narrative, shape the behavior. Every human is born an actor. We all play roles. But here's the secret. The more applause we get, the more we perform. Take the applause away, and the act dies. This brings us to a powerful tactic, labeling. People don't change because you ask them to. They change because they want to stay consistent with how they see themselves. So instead of demanding behavior, assign identity. Call your child curious and they'll explore. Call your friend loyal and they'll start acting more loyal. Call an employee a rising star and they'll push themselves to match that label. Want your partner to cook more? Don't ask. Just say, "You're amazing in the kitchen." Share photos. Compliment their dishes publicly. Make them proud of that role. The label creates the identity. The identity drives the behavior. Want employees to serve better? Make up awards. Client hero, hospitality master, feedback favorite. Put their faces on the wall. Soon they'll work to defend the title without you saying a word. Even stingy people will try to live up to generous if you call them that often enough. The world is a stage, and everyone wants to keep their part once the spotlight hits. Secrets of the Ancients, Part 11. Emotional control. Feel nothing, say everything. There's a difference between talking about emotion and feeling it. Those who manipulate others emotionally follow two rules. One, speak about feelings without feeling them. They sound caring, concerned, supportive, but it's all calculated. Two, only talk emotions when there's something to gain. Once the benefit ends, so does the emotion. Those who use real emotion in negotiation or business lose because they're predictable, vulnerable, easy to guide. Real power comes from detachment disguised as connection. Say the right things. Look the right way, but never, ever let it cost you clarity. Secrets of the Ancients, Part 12. Why ancient wisdom still rules. Modern life has everything: speed, scale, science, population. So why do we still quote people from thousands of years ago? Because hard times create sharp minds. Ancient China's warring states era was brutal. Dozens of kingdoms, nonstop war. Victory meant survival, failure meant death. So people wrote everything down. Military strategy, human behavior, political science. That pressure created timeless frameworks. Philosophers like Confucius, Lao Tzu, and Han Fei weren't just thinkers. They were war-tested strategists. They didn't write for likes. They wrote to live. That's why their ideas still dominate, because they weren't trying to go viral. They were trying to stay alive. Secrets of the Ancients, Part 13. 3 philosophies of power: Confucianism, legalism, Taoism. In ancient China, every school of thought could be traced back to one of 3 core worldviews. 1. Confucianism. Tradition is sacred. 2. Legalism. Tradition is a cage. Break it. 3. Taoism. Tradition is irrelevant. Walk away. Each sees power and control through a different lens. Confucianism believes chaos comes from forgetting the past. Its answer? Restore rituals, uphold virtue, respect the hierarchy. But in war, etiquette is useless. Rulers wanted swords, not ceremonies. That's why Confucius never found employment during wartime. His ideas were moral, just not effective under fire. Legalism laughed at that. It said, tradition is weakness. If you want power, use law, fear, and structure. Qin, the kingdom that unified China, adopted legalism fully. They didn't preach virtue, they engineered obedience. Their motto, don't inspire, control. Taoism, meanwhile, walked away from both. It said, why fight for control? Why chase success? Lao Tzu taught the opposite of hustle culture. Do less, want less, let go. Nature sorts things out if you stop interfering. To a Taoist, ambition is the disease. So what works? In chaos, legalism wins. In rebuilding, Taoism soothes. In uniting people long-term, Confucianism maintains order. The greatest rulers didn't pick one. They used all three. Structure like a legalist. Speak like a Confucian. Think like a Taoist. That's how you rule an empire or a company. Secrets of the Ancients. Part 14. The secret behind Qin's rise and its collapse. Qin was the last to reform, but it won. Why? Because it took legalism to the extreme. In most kingdoms, power came from bloodlines. Nobles stayed nobles, poor people stayed poor, but Qin changed the rules, right? You rose through merit. Kill enemies in war, get promoted, no family ties, no inherited privilege. That motivated the masses like nothing else. And with that energy, Qin crushed every other kingdom. But here's the catch. Qin's success came from war, and when the wars ended, so did the game. No more kingdoms to conquer, no more soldiers to promote, but the machines still needed fuel. So who did they extract from next? Their own people. That's why Qin collapsed in just 2 generations. It mastered expansion, but it never learned how to govern peace. Secrets of the Ancients, Part 15. Why you can conquer with legalism, but not rule with it. After Qin fell, Liu Bang rose. A man of the people, a streetwise general, he didn't come from noble blood. He rose with brothers, allies, equals. That's why he couldn't rule like a tyrant. He had to rule like a partner. So what did he do? He adopted Taoism, not as a belief, but as a strategy. He governed by doing less. He let people recover. He let old systems breathe. It wasn't kindness, it was timing. A war-tired nation doesn't need new rules. It needs a rest. Later, when the state stabilized, Confucianism took over. Why? Because peace needs morality, structure needs meaning, and people need stories to follow the rules. This is how China was ruled for 2,000 years. Legalist system on the inside. Confucian values on the outside. Control behind the curtain, harmony on stage. It's the same with great companies. Tough processes, soft smiles. This duality, hard on the back end, gentle on the front, is the secret to long-term control. Secrets of the Ancients. Part 16, soft outside, hard inside, the only way to scale. For 2,000 years, Chinese emperors ruled using one golden formula. Confucianism on the outside, legalism on the inside. Publicly, they preached morality, respect your elders, be loyal, act with virtue. Privately, they enforced control through strict laws, secret surveillance, and calculated incentives. Why? Because people respond to meaning, but they obey systems. Let's translate that to business. Your company culture should feel warm. Inspirational posters, team lunches, talk of family. But your back end? It better be sharp, KPI driven. No drama, no exceptions. Culture keeps people together. Systems keep the machine running. If you rely only on culture, things fall apart. If you rely only on systems, people leave. Only the combination makes it last. Secrets of the Ancients, Part 17. Start like Qin, scale like Han. If you're still in startup mode, don't overthink it. Be Qin, be brutal, be lean. Focus on speed, revenue, survival. Forget the rules, make money. In this phase, don't talk about philosophy or company values. Just get the job done. Once you've made it through the storm, then you evolve. Be Han. Build culture, hire slow. Start creating rituals, hierarchy, traditions. Think long-term, because the same team that helped you conquer may not be the team to help you govern. Startups are built by pirates. Empires are run by architects. Know when to switch, know when to let go, and never confuse early success with permanent structure. Qin unified China, Han made it last. Your company needs both. Secrets of the Ancients, Part 18. The final principle: outsmart, outlast, outlive. In the beginning, don't chase innovation. Just copy better. Study your enemies. Reverse engineer their systems. Dissect their pricing. Emulate their funnels. Your first goal isn't to be unique. It's to survive. Look like them. Price like them. Sell like them. Until you earn the right to do it your way. Use their weapons until you can afford your own. And once you do, move fast, own your channel, control your data, guard your margins. At scale, creativity matters. At launch, execution wins. Don't romanticize originality. Master the market first, then rewrite the game. First, play the rules. Then, become the one who writes them. That's the ancient path. That's how dynasties rise, and that's how yours begins. Why most people never succeed in business. When people say they can't start a business because they don't have enough money, what they really mean is they don't understand leverage. Most real businesses don't begin with capital. They begin with a sharp perspective, a skill set, or access to people others don't have. If an opportunity depends solely on money to make it work, then powerful institutions would have already taken it. The harsh truth, if it's being advertised to the masses, it's probably not worth your time. Capital always moves first. If it skipped the opportunity, there's a reason. Starting a business isn't about funding. It's about figuring things out without asking for permission. The smartest founders use what they already have. They sell their insight. They sell speed. They sell clarity. They solve problems before anyone else. If you don't have money, then use time, energy, and ideas. These are the currencies of early-stage survival. Don't look for investors, don't beg for a loan, build value from nothing, and let results attract the resources later. Secrets of the Ancients, Part 20. 6 false paths in entrepreneurship, and the one that works. There are 6 common paths people take when they say they're starting a business. Most of them don't lead anywhere. 1, the connector. They don't build, they link people. They take a cut, stay light. They rarely scale, but they rarely crash. 2, the trend chaser. They follow hype. Crypto one year, NFTs the next. Fast in, fast out, sometimes lucky, usually lost. 3, the equity player. They join someone else's dream as the tech guy, the marketer, the designer. They take equity instead of cash. If the dream works, they win. If not, they walk. The copycat. They clone what they see on YouTube or TikTok. Same business, same branding, same script, nothing original, easy to start, easy to fail. 5, the daydreamer. They talk big, post motivational quotes, but there's no product, no system, no strategy. Their hustle is just theater. 6, the resentful. They hate on everyone doing better, blame the market, blame the economy. They build nothing, but they always have opinions. The only path that works is the one built on execution and accountability, doing the boring things, the invisible things, the things that make real impact, not talking, not posing, just showing up and doing the work until leverage kicks in. Secrets of the Ancients, Part Final Principle. Think like a king, act like a servant, build like a ghost. The most dangerous mistake in business is to believe that effort equals outcome. It doesn't. Effort without insight is wasted. Speed without structure is chaos. Ambition without clarity is noise. In ancient strategy, there's a timeless rule. The one who builds the battlefield wins before the war begins. Most people fight inside systems they didn't design. They play games others created. They follow rules others benefit from. And they wonder why they stay poor. The real power is silent. It builds systems in the background. It moves people without force. It wins without noise. The true strategist speaks softly, studies everything, designs leverage instead of chasing effort, uses other people's strength to fuel their own system. Think like a king. Not because you crave power, but because someone has to shape the map, decide the rules, and build the machines others will operate. Act like a servant, because pride blinds. Humility gives access. When you serve, you observe. When you observe, you learn. And when you learn deeply, you become unstoppable. Build like a ghost. Quiet, unseen, relentless. Don't seek credit. Don't announce plans. Just move. Just compound. Just win. This is the final lesson from the ancients. Don't just rise. Design the rise. And do it so precisely that by the time they notice, you're already untouchable.